And I can tell you, Ezreal is not only harder and more difficult to play than the average ADC, he's the hardest ADC to play in the game. You always want to be parallel with your support. This is probably the worst thing you could ever do in the bot lane. Stand behind your support. It's the worst thing you could do. The reason for it is, right now, what stops you guys from all-inning Alistar? 15 minutes into the game, I'm top lane as Varus. I ain't bot lane, right? That's how you can play the game, by doing these transitions.
Yeah, short introduction for me. I started playing League in season 7. Started seriously playing in season 9, and I was a support main until last year around summer, and that's when I switched to ADC because I realized, hey, this role is actually really fun and I like killing things. So I've been playing ADC since then.
What do you think in general would be your weakness? What would be your strengths? Go ahead.
I think my strength would be like I want to say early game macro.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually not that. Early game micro, definitely, but no, never mind. Mid game is my strength. There we go.
Okay.
And my weakness is definitely like figuring out when and how to be aggressive. Like my damage shares are usually really bad, and I guess actually keeping up in CS and getting to that, mythical 10 a minute.
Yeah.
Because like even though I do last hit most of my minions, I usually end up around 5 or 6. So I think I assume a lot of it's due to bad recalls and stuff too.
Yeah. Like you said, keeping up in CS is something you struggle with. I can clearly see that. Because not only on Ezreal it's 5.7, but on average on the ADCs here that you play, 5.7, 6.3, 5.9. So it's around 6 CS per minute, a little bit below depending on the champ, 5.5 on Misfortune. And for me, ADC is the role that needs the most gold income. Right? The reason for that is if you play an ADC, it's all fun and games if you have 3 items, right? And you can do a lot of damage. But hey, then the Diana who comes out of jungle, the enemy Diana, and she one-taps you, right? And that's a bit the problem of ADC. Everybody's out there to get you, and they can one-tap you. Now, can you build defensively on an ADC? You sure can. But I heavily advise you to only build defensive items starting from your 4th, 5th. Those kind of items are probably 4th item if you really want to. Now, if you are fat, you can obviously build a little bit more defensive early on because you already will do like an insane amount of damage. And yes, in other lanes, you could also argue, hey, isn't it good to get your item fast as top laner? Yes. But on an ADC, you're on a timer every single game. You're on this timer of, hey, there's going to be somebody in the enemy team who's going to be able to one-tap you. The quicker you can buy those defensive items, the better for you. But we have the obligation of buying 3, maybe 4 damage items before that so we can carry with our damage. So we're always on the timer. That's why I value gold income so much as an ADC. Also, if you keep in mind, I think you agree with me, but if you play your games, are you typically under-leveled or over-leveled compared to your opponents? Like, compared to the enemy mid laner, compared to the enemy jungler, the top laner, are you under-leveled, over-leveled, the same level as them? What would you say?
Definitely underleveled.
Exactly, right? So if you're under-leveled, how are you going to match, if you're level 12, for example, how are you going to fight the level 14 Yone in the top lane? It's going to be difficult,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And that's where gold income takes place. As an ADC, you're allowed to be under-leveled because you have more consistent damage. Even though the Yone is like level 14, or like a Kha'Zix is level 14, or Diana is level 14, doesn't really matter. They typically have less consistent damage, as ADC is the role with the most consistent damage, especially when you play Ezreal. So that being said, you can basically outplay everyone because you have more consistent damage than them. So being under-leveled isn't really a problem, as long as you have enough gold. If you have your items, we have everything we need. We have the damage, and we have the consistency in our damage. All we need to win from people higher level than us. Personally, what do you think of Ezreal? Like, if we have to place him in terms of a difficulty tier, like, would you say that Ezreal is difficult, like more difficult than the average ADC? He's easier than the average ADC? What do you think in terms of his skill level?
I think that Ezreal is definitely more difficult than the average ADC just because of the high mechanical requirements for aiming stuff. And I'm not just copying, popular opinion here. Like, for example, Zeri, I think, is easier than people say just because her farming is really, really easy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Ezreal is definitely a bit hard. But it's nice. It's really fun when you get into that flow state.
Exactly, right? And flow state is a very important thing on Ezreal, and I can tell you, Ezreal is not only harder and more difficult to play than the average ADC, he's the hardest ADC to play in the game. Why? All of his damage, literally, like almost all of it, basically, your E is the only tool that is not a complete skill shot. Everything else, all of your other damage relies on skill shots. So as an ADC, your benefit is that you always have auto attacks up. You always have something up. On Ezreal, you don't always have, like, your Q is more important than your auto attacks, but you basically always have your Q up. It's like super low cooldown. So what you can do as an ADC is always do something. If I'm playing Syndra, I can't always do something. If I clear a wave, my abilities are on cooldown and I have to wait a little bit, right? Or I'm not that efficient at killing jungle camps because I don't have consistent damage. And killing jungle camps is a lot better when you have consistent damage. Or taking objectives is also a lot better when you have consistent damage. That's why ADCs typically help with Dragon and not the mid laner, right? Things like that. So as an ADC, you can always do something. You can take a wave, move to your jungle, take a raptor camp, move to enemy jungle, take a crook camp, take a side lane wave. There's always something for you to hit, and that's the biggest benefit that you have, right? If you're dead, like you said, you can't do that. That is your job as an ADC. Always get some form of gold income. Always be hitting something, and make sure that you don't die. Especially as Ezreal, long range, you have an escape into your kit. So definitely focus on not dying. I want you to play League of Legends with Ezreal in a way where you have 0 deaths, right? So I want you to go in games in solo queue. I don't care how you do it. Preferably you don't stand at your panel at your base. You need to play the game. But I don't want you to die in your games. Oh, you died once? I don't care. Go next game. Try for 0 deaths, right? Okay. You went for 0 deaths, but you had 0 kill participation. You struggled really hard with impacting the game. Okay. We still go for 0 deaths next game. We still aim for that. But we have a secondary goal of trying to be a bit more impactful, trying to deal a bit more damage, having a bit more of the damage share. Oh shit, we have a bit more of the damage share, but we did die once or twice or maybe 5 times. Okay, we have to tone it back again. Go back to 0, right? This is going to take a while. This is, on average, this takes about 25 games to kind of have the feel of like, okay, I go to 0 deaths game, I finally have one, but shit, it sucked. I almost didn't do any damage. That's why I didn't die. I was never in the fight, right? Okay, we try to step it up a little bit. And you constantly fight between the balance of 0 deaths and having 0 impact. You want to have impact, but you also want to have 0 deaths. Somewhere in between there, that's going to be for you the most ideal point. We play Ezreal, Thresh versus Samira, Alistar. Now, Thresh, Ezreal, really, really strong level 1. Right? You guys have a lot of consistent damage. 2 range champions versus Samira and a melee champion. Now, you may or may not know, but Alistar is one of the weakest early game, like level 1 supports in the entire game.
Okay, right? I didn't know that.
Level 3, this lane is going to be like pretty scary, right? Samira, Alistar. Alistar will have the CC, and Samira lives off CC, right? Her passive literally allows her to say that if her support, right, CC somebody, she can CC them again. She can knock them up, right, and deal some damage. So for this is a very annoying matchup for you. So avoiding to get CC'd is your first goal in this matchup. But then also recognizing, hey, level 1, if Alistar ever walks up, we just beat the shit out of him. There's nothing he can do. So that's the first win condition in this lane. So this is just going to be the leash. Very important indicator. Like here, already I don't like this.
Right? Alright.
I don't like this. I don't like this for 2 reasons. Now you might be like, what the fuck? Like, we're literally leashing at this point. Like, what could go wrong here, right? 2 things I don't like. 1, you can't really do anything about it, but Evelynn starts a blue buff. That means that she's going to do blue, Gromp, Wolves, and the top side. So where is her first gank going to be? Mid, top. Somewhere around there, right? I don't like that. I want my ADC to path towards me. So if I can influence that in the beginning of the game, I will. I will tell my ADC, can't leash, please start top. Sometimes, or like in 60% of the games, they're not going to give a fuck. They're going to be like, nope, I'm going to start above. Do you leave them alone? No, just help them out. Because it's going to do more damage, more harm than good if you don't help them out. So help them out anyway on blue. But ask if they can start on the other side of the map so that they can path into you. This way you're going to have more help from the beginning of the game. That's one thing.
All right.
Number 2 is you're leashing right now, but I hate that. Why do I hate it? What if these guys are not leashing? They are super weak level 1. So what if they're not leashing? What if Lilia starts Raptors solo leash? So no leash, solo starts Lilia on the Raptors. So they are already in lane, and they can immediately start pushing the wave. They can immediately start getting experience, killing your mains, and getting closer to level 2. That means that you and Thresh, after leashing, will come back into lane to Samira and Alistar, who are about to hit level 2, and now you have to back off, and you have no prio in the lane. Why does that suck so much in this matchup? Because we talked about it. You're playing versus Samira Alistar. Very strong combo, because it's a CC combo for Samira. A lot of damage. When can you really abuse them? Level 1. But if you don't do that, if they get the advantage level 1, it's going to be difficult for you to trade in the lane and to actually kill them. Okay. For me, it's really important that you get the prio here. So again, don't walk away. Do not walk away. Right? Keep on the pressure on the minion wave here. Q, auto attack, Q, auto attack, Q, Q, auto attack, auto attack. Constantly pressure the wave. You have to be perma pushing right now. Why are we perma pushing? Because we want to get level 2 before Samira gets it. Why do we really want to get level 2? Because if we get it, we're unstoppable. We are so much stronger level 2 than level 1. If they are still level 1, we're going to dominate them. That's what you want. Here again, Alistar walks up. This is your moment. As an ADC, like in mid lane, look, this is easy trading. It's 1 versus 1. When do we trade? It's very simple, right? When he walks up in a minion wave, we trade. Here we have all these people. Who do you think is right now positioned best? It's a difficult scenario, but who do you think is positioned best in this case?
Samira.
No, it's you and Thresh.
Oh.
You always want to be parallel with your support. This is probably the worst thing you could ever do in the bot lane. Stand behind your support. It's the worst thing you could do. The reason for it is, right now, what stops you guys from all-inning Alistar? Nothing.
Nothing.
And Samira can't trade back onto you. What should Samira do when you go for her support? She should attack you, right? Because then what would happen in an ideal scenario? You guys focus Alistar. While you are focusing Alistar, both of you, Samira attacks you, and now maybe you kill Alistar, but then Samira kills you, and then who remains? Samira versus Thresh, who's gonna win? Samira. So if she can focus you while you kill her support, that's when she can get a double kill afterwards. So typically you want to be focusing the enemy ADC and not the support. But if the support walks up like this and stands in front of his ADC and not parallel towards next to his ADC, you have a free all-in angle. We attack. Here, this is not something I like. What stops them from all-inning you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Because what is the triangle right now? Boom. You're screwed. Right? They can, with 2 people, get onto you and Thresh standing in Narnia. Why? Because you're not standing parallel to Thresh, you're standing in front of Thresh. That's the problem. They want situations like this, and you want to avoid situations like this. What would be better? If you stand here, Thresh stands here, and Alistar stand here, then you and Thresh are closer to Samira, and now you guys can fight her. Now you create a situation in which they can easily all-in you. So now he foxes this combo. That was kind of funny. But yeah, then you can obviously punish him for that. Don't focus the Alistar, focus the Samira as well. Why are we walking up? Samira is right now in Q range. That's how ridiculous Ezreal Q range is. She's in Q range. So we can just, if there's any way for us to walk up, we ignore this fucker. We don't give a damn. Samira is misplaying right now. I just told you, if you focus the enemy support and the enemy ADC focuses you while you're focusing the enemy support, your game is over, you're not going to win. Right now, Samira is tunnel visioning on killing the Thresh. If while she's doing that, you focus on Samira, you're going to kill her off, and then you can kill her support, because support is useless. Right? Support is really strong with ADC, but useless without ADC. So first kill her, then kill the support. If you first kill the support, it's difficult. Why? Support is strong when his ADC is in lane. So it was difficult to kill the support because he had his ADC in lane, and now it's also difficult to kill enemy ADC because ADCs are strong. If you first kill ADC, which are strong, then you kill them, then you face a useless champion because supports are useless without ADC. So you make it easier to yourself this way. So here, focus Samira. Don't tunnel vision on this guy. Focus Samira. Right? So always try to focus the enemy ADC. That's your mistake. That's your first mistake. Then the E here
Yeah.
Very far from good, right? That's way too aggressive. But I also wouldn't play like this. I would have kited Samira and then used E to look to all in her. That would have been my goal here. Your goal was to kill Samira, look to poke her down, and once she's low enough, we can E or flash E. You push in minions under their turret, and your minions keep like they hold up the blue minion wave. You see that, right? They're not walking
Yes.
through. Your red minion is already here. Your wave. These minions are hold up. That means that this wave is gonna push back into you. That means that while the wave is pushing back into you, you can stop it from going under your turret by standing in front of your turret, and that's what we call a freeze. You can hold it here. Why is that good for you? Your jungler can come, gank them in this position. You can all in them because you have now the long lane from here till here. You can run them down, right? So many benefits to that. Now you guys are perma pushing. The wave is pushing into you, yet you immediately start attacking it. If you want the wave to keep on pushing towards you, you can only last hit minions, right? If you last hit them, then it's going to push towards you. But you're actively pushing it back while it's pushing towards you. You're actively pushing it back towards them. So that basically means that you're constantly staying in this position on their side of the lane, which is not ideal, because now they can all in you and their jungler can come. But we just established, hey, they also leashed early on. So the Lilia is spawning into top. So the jungler is not going to gank us this game at this moment in time, because we knew that Lilia started at red buff, so then that means she's doing red into Krups, into Raptors, into top side. So she's spotting into top, so the jungler is not going to be an issue. So we don't have to be scared of them to be in this spot. Do we have to be scared of Alistar Samira to be in this spot? We don't have to be scared. Why not? Because they're already low. We already won the trades very hard. And we're Ezreal. So we are very good at poking enemies under their turret. That's another reason why you don't have to freeze. You can just let them be under the turret and make them suffer while they're trying to CS to hit them with skill shots. This guy, like right now, don't E and don't make the mistake of walking away. So here what happens. Look. Alistar misplays it. I'm going to show you in a bit. Here. Alistar goes in. So right now, she is standing in Narnia. He is walking up 2 versus 1. Right now, you can get some good poke onto Alistar and just kite back. You don't need to walk up, kite back. The moment Samira goes in, that's when you can E away if you want to. Right now, just poke the Alistar. Why do we immediately E away? Right? I don't see the value of that. Just poke him backwards. Then when Samira gets onto you, then you can E. Right? And in the meantime, while poking backwards, you can get this guy lower and lower and lower. Right? That's an issue. Now, what did you do? Very big problem for you. You left your trash all alone in a 1 versus 2. Right? This is exactly what I said. Try to avoid this. Whenever your trash walks up, you walk up. Whenever you walk up, he walks up. Whenever he walks back, you walk back. Whenever you walk back, he walks back. Problem is, he will not do this to you. He will not have this idea. But you do, so you can mimic him. Right now, you're not mimicking him. He goes in, and you just E out. Now, this trash is not having a nice time, is he? Right? This is not nice for him. Right? No. Luckily, they don't attack him. Luckily, they don't all in him. Samira was in melee range constantly. She didn't do anything. Right? Luckily for him, they don't do anything. That's what I also said. Take everything with a grain of salt. We're in bronze. They're not going to play perfectly. Okay? Don't focus Alistar. Focus the ADC. Right? So here, you kill all of those minions that made your freeze. And now the wave is even. And now this is going to push away from you. So now, if you were to recall here, since you broke the freeze, what does that mean? That means that right now your wave would be, if you break a freeze, that means it's not pushing towards, like it's not constantly being here anymore. It's pushing towards the enemy again. But I just told you, if a wave pushes away from you, you lose a lot of gold. So right now you broke the freeze and then you did a recall here. You tried to recall. You cancelled it luckily. What if that recall would have gone through? Well, then you would have seen that this red wave would have pushed constantly to here while you're recalling and walking back to lane, meaning you will lose a lot of gold, and Samira will come back to lane to a full wave for her to farm. Right? Not ideal. So since you broke the freeze here, now you're forced to stay. But this really sucks, because Samira is already coming to lane, and the next wave is also already here. So look what's happening. You recall, and look, all of the minions you're missing. And what is Samira missing? Nothing. She's not missing
True,
anything.
yeah.
Because your minions keep on living because it's such a big wave, because they killed the blue minions way too fast, so they don't have a chance of killing the red minions. So right now you lose all the golden XP, and she misses nothing. So on a freeze, if your opponent is recalling, also feel free to recall on the freeze, right? That way they're gonna lose a
Okay.
lot. But in general, if you don't have a freeze, you recall or you roam by first shoving in the wave under the enemy turret. Now there are some rules onto this. Have you ever heard about the 3-wave concept?
No.
Well, the 3-wave concept is very simple. In League of Legends, there's the wave spawns in 3 ways, basically.
Cannon
right?
waves every third.
Yeah, exactly. Non-cannon, non-cannon, cannon. Non-cannon, non-cannon, cannon, right? Constantly that. Well, with a grain of salt again, until 20 minutes. So again, in summary, if you want to roam or recall, what do? In the most practical way of finding good recall or roam windows, you hard push the wave in your lane if you notice that the next wave coming out of your base is a cannon minion wave, right? Now, sometimes you can also start already pushing this wave even though the cannon wave hasn't even spawned by just counting the waves. I just told you the 3-wave concept. Non-cannon, non-cannon,
Yeah.
cannon. If you right now notice, hey, my previous wave was a non-cannon wave. This one also is a non-cannon wave. So the next one is a cannon wave that's about to spawn. So even though this one hasn't spawned yet, it's not here yet, you could already start pushing this wave in. Because you know the next one is going to be a cannon wave. Because you counted the waves, right? Go ahead.
Would I slow push? Would I slow push the wave before the cannon? So like the cannon's part of the slow push.
Yeah, you could. You could. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Because if your wave is big enough, you will have an insane amount of timer anyway. No matter when you do it, right?
Okay.
That's the beauty of slow pushing. The only problem with slow pushing, and why I don't really talk about it right now, because now you might be wondering, well, if that gives me the most amount of time, why wouldn't I do it? Because it's not practical. This all sounds fun in theory. Many coaches will tell you, hey, slow push. Yes, but have fun slow pushing. What if the enemy ADC is just constantly attacking your wave while you're pushing towards them? So you're building a big wave and they're constantly killing it. That means you will have to protect your wave while you're pushing towards them. Constantly playing aggressive and trading with them whenever they're walking up. That's not something easy to do. I don't expect that from bronze, silver, gold players that they know how to slow push and how to constantly protect their wave from getting killed so that the big wave arrives here rather than getting killed constantly and then you arrive here with 5 minions, right? It's difficult. It's not practical. This here is a lot more practical, realizing, oh, the next wave is a cannon wave. Let's hard shift this wave and get out, right? It's a lot more practical in your games. But you can slow push if you want to. Do you understand why he would... Right now, you're in an overextended position. You kind of want to push in this wave. Do you
Because
understand
our
why
wave's
he would
about to
want
die.
that?
Our wave's about to die, and Alistar can kind of run me down.
Yes, and also you have no vision. I think that's the
Oh,
main
true. Yeah.
main indicator here. He's probably scared of Lilia. So he's going to walk away from vision. Now, if your wave here would be like 3 minions, right? And this is a freeze for the enemy team, it would be bad for Thresh to place a ward here. It would be better to stay, even though Lilia could be here, push in the wave really quickly, and then get out. That's one. Because right now, if this was a freeze, and Thresh would go here, and he places a ward, what if he sees Lilia? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna back off, but you're gonna still lose an insane amount of minions. So it would be better to hope she's not here, or even if she's here, to say we're gonna take the risk, we're gonna look to push it in as quickly as possible, and then get out. Then he could still walk behind you or flash behind you, throw a lantern, and you could get out perhaps. Right? But breaking the freeze would be so important that seeing Lilia is basically saying, oh, we're not gonna die because we see Lilia, but we see how we're getting fucked right now. We see that we're frozen, that we lose all the minions, and Lilia is just standing here for fun to zone us. So we're still losing the lane super hard right now. So you might as well play it a little bit more risky, pushed in the wave immediately, and that probably most of the time will be a lot better than just going for this ward, waiting for time. Because while Thresh is walking for this ward and placing it, if Lilia wasn't here, that's all time you could have used to shove in the wave. Because now while Thresh is walking here, Lilia might be here. But in that same time, you might have already pushed the wave and get out. Right? So that's why typically warding here is bad. But solo queue, it is what it is. We're going to follow him. It is what it is. Also, is this a freeze? It's not a freeze. This is less than 3 minions. So what is this wave going to do here?
It's less than 3 minions, so it's going to start slowly pushing back to me.
Exactly. Perfect. You understand the wave mechanics. right? That's how easy it is. It's less than 3 full HP minions, so it's going to push back into you. If it was 3 full HP minions, what would it do then?
If it was 3 full HP minions,
Yes,
freeze.
exactly. What if it were 5 full HP minions? What would it do then?
It would push towards them.
Exactly. Now they could always kill off 2 minions and keep it here as frozen, because then if they kill off 2, they will have 3 left, then it's a freeze. So they can also manipulate it. We're not playing versus bots, right? We're playing versus actual human beings who can manipulate the wave. But, right, that's how you need to understand it. 3 minions, freeze, we have to break it. 5 minutes, pushing towards them, it's decent. We just have to make sure they don't kill the minions to the point where there's 3 left and they can freeze. So we have to be aggressive and push it in. Oh, it's less than 3 minions, it's pushing into us. So we don't actually have to be here. Because ultimately, it's pushing back into us. Yes, it's not, even though it's going to be pushing into us, we're still going to be losing some minions along the way. But the majority of the minions will be able to farm right here. So do we have to be here right now? No, we don't. So if Thresh walks back, is it fine to do that for him? 100%. Because it's not a freeze, it's pushing back into you, so you guys will be able to collect the majority of the wave here. And you have no vision, so he might as well put vision here. If it was a freeze, it would have been a different scenario. Then I would have wanted him to stay with you, try to push it in as quickly as possible to make sure you do not get frozen upon, because if that's the case, you would lose a lot of CS. Now it's not, so both of you can get out. So I don't know why right now Thresh gets out and you stay. There's no reason for you to stay based on the wave, and there's no reason for you to stay based on Thresh's positioning. You understand?
Yes.
So here for me, it's very sad that you walk all the way alone here.
Yeah.
Right. So see, now you get collapsed, you have to flash. You didn't have to heal, right? But it's a bit of a panic kill, I would say, for the movement.
Definitely.
Because right now you're not losing a lot by being here. Samira is losing a lot, because the blue minions are killing all of your red minions. But what if you die right now? Samira lives, she comes back to lane, she pushes all the minions in here, and now you lose like, what, 30 minions? That would be really bad. So when the wave is slow pushing towards you, you cannot do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want in the sense of recalling and roaming, but you have to make sure that you're not dead at the moment where the wave is going to be under your turret. Right?
Okay.
You have a lot to lose right now if you die. So the ult is
Shoot
fine.
that ult and then
And now
it.
what do we do?
Leave.
Exactly, we leave. He's standing in E. He's about to get popped and one-tapped. Samira is stacking her ulti right now, so be very, very careful. Right? This guy, his W is probably about to come up, or his Q is about to come up, or he still has it, or because it's Aurelian Soul at this point, he has it at maximum cooldown actually, like no cooldown when he does it. So right now you have to be very, very scared. It's very objective right now. Last thing you could have done here was kill Alistar, and now what is the situation right now? Almost dead, not healthy against these two champions, and this guy's about to have ultimate. We get the hell out. Right? We get the hell out. What do? We keep on kiting the Samira. Why on earth would we do that? Right? Now we're just dead. Why did we die here? We died because we attacked the Samira way too long in a fight that was already lost and that was not ours to win. This is just more of the same.
Yeah.
Again, you're constantly on their side of the lane, so look what you're doing. Again, making the same mistakes. Not playing with intensity here with the minion wave. Constantly on their side of the lane. They are an all-in bot lane, so they can obviously just all-in you. They want you to be here, because now they have an entire lane to run you down. Right? That's one. Number two, use your range. This guy will never get in your range unless he flashes. He doesn't have flash, so I ask myself right now, how did he get into your range? That's what I ask myself. Objectively.
I walked up.
Right? The perma pushing isn't the issue here. It's a problem in the sense that they have all this, like this distance to run you down. But if you play it properly with your range, they will not be able to all-in you. They cannot get onto you because you're an Ezreal, you have all of that range, and you have an escape tool, and yet you died. So pushing here isn't a problem. But why I'm saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't perma push and all-in lanes like this, because you're bronze, or you're silver, or you're gold, you're the lower elo bracket. If you weren't allowed to make mistakes, that would be quite sad in this lower elo bracket, right? Would only be normal. Like I have many mistakes in my game. Would be kind of sad if I made one mistake and my laning phase is over or my game is over. Would be kind of a bad game. It's not, right? Especially the lower you are, the less that's the case. So here you're allowed to make mistakes. So I want you to put yourself in a position where you allow yourself to make mistakes. If you make a mistake here, you're dead. Simple as that. Why? They can run you down this entire lane. It took them from here till here to kill you. Now, what if you were already starting here to begin with? Would they run you down? No, because they would have to dive you, and then they would die due to third shots. So if you were to stand more on your side of the lane against all in lanes like Samira Nautilus, and Samira Alistar, or maybe Samira Nautilus, or maybe Draven Nautilus, or Kalista Nautilus, or Pyke, or like all of those matchups, could be smart to position on your side of the lane. Why? Well, if you played perfectly, you could stand here, but if you fuck it up once, you're gonna die. It's as simple as that. Don't walk too much away from your Thresh here. Why are we focusing the Alistar though? Huh?
I don't know. I think I was tunnel visioning onto him.
Yeah. Alistar is this one guy who's basically unkillable when he activates his ult, right? We're constantly here. He activates his ult. Skip. He is not a champion in my mind anymore. He does not exist. Right? It's Lilia, Samira. One of these champions. Now, I wouldn't want to go for Samira, because she's in Narnia right now for the rest of my team. Evelyn is here, clearly looking to engage onto Lilia. My Thresh is here, clearly close to Lilia. So why the hell would I go here, walk up all the way away from my teammates into Samira, and then get collapsed by Samira, Alistar, Lilia when I'm here? I wouldn't.
That's great.
So I'm going to walk like this to my team. Skip the Alistar. He's not a team member anymore. He's not the enemy team member. He doesn't exist in my mind. Walk like this. Look to engage on Lilia with my Evelyn. Right? That's what I'm looking to do right now. Here, don't go for this guy. Skip. Lilia, Samira. We are right now a couple of seconds in fight, and they are full HP. The enemy carries in this fight are full HP. And then we wonder why we lose. Right? You already wasted your ultimate here. Onto the Alistar. Right? Thresh, right now, doesn't have ultimate. Right? Evelyn is about to have her ultimate up, but 2 ults not here anymore. How sad is that? And for what? For getting an Alistar to half HP. Okay, so what do I do here? Look. The enemy bot lane is also walking bot. Why? It's 14 minutes into the game. Right? Turrets are still up. Laning phase hasn't ended yet. So, look what we do. Speed this up a little bit. I push in. I get out. Now, why would I ever get out of the lane here? Because Herald is up. Right? I shift out the wave. I have some tempo to do something right now. I could go mid, shift out the wave, take mid lane turret, or shift out the wave, get prio for Herald. My Senna here, my support, also a friend of mine, is also coming. So, I could stay here in lane and just farm, and Senna could go bot lane, and we could do all of that. Or, we could start winning the game and focusing on it. So we could start doing Herald, for example, using our number advantage. Because if the bot lane stays here, they might take a turret, but we will take Herald. Herald is obviously a lot more important than one turret. So, yeah, let's see what we're going to do here. So look, I transition to mid lane. My support is here as well. Now, nobody can stop us from just pushing this in. Okay, we get the prio mid lane. Look, we get a couple of attacks on the turret. We get it quite low. Perhaps we take it, yes. What can Kassadin do? Okay, they took the turret. My mid laner went here to defend. So one, they're going to have a hard time sieging the next one. And was it worth to take this turret? Yes, we traded a bot lane turret for a couple of waves in the mid lane and an entire mid lane turret. Right? So obviously this is a lot more worth it because mid lane turret is so much more valuable than a random bot lane turret. Now what can Kassadin do against us? Nothing. Number advantage. 2 versus 1. So right now, if I go to Herald, my top laner goes to Herald, Teemo goes to Herald. 1, 2, 3, 4. Top lane goes to Herald, jungle goes to Herald, mid lane goes to Herald. 1, 2, 3. So 3 versus 4. So my transition here makes sure that we have number advantage at Herald. So after taking this turret, which nobody could stop, even if Gaston arrived earlier, he couldn't stop because we are 2 versus 1. Now, what stops me from going to Herald? Here, and we can take the Herald. Now, Nocturne backs off. Why? We have number advantage, 3 people. So with that same number advantage, I tell my team, go top lane here. Why would we not go top lane? Because we have number advantage. We can do whatever we want. 3, 4 versus 1. Even if these guys come, it's 4 versus 3 in total. So we're still going to win. So we can force everything we want. 15 minutes into the game, I'm top lane as Varus. I ain't bot lane. Right? That's how you can play the game, by doing these transitions. Okay, we killed the Olaf. Now, it's even easier for us. We killed the Olaf. even more number advantage. Yes, the bot lane comes, but obviously we have the advantage now that we started this objective first. We have all of the control here. So if they come, we're gonna have the upper hand in these fights, right? Okay, so we start the objective. And now, what did we get out of all of this? A lot. And now we force a fight. Again, number advantage fight. Because Olaf wasn't there. Kassadin was bot. So this transition, all of this, if we go back to like the very start of all of this, is when I was still bot lane. And the number advantage, like the advantage of the game starts here. So look, it is very nice to calculate as well. Because look, 25k and a half, 24.5k, 24.5k. The gold between both teams is dead even. Okay? Dead even. Now let's look. There's one transition in the game. What is going to force? Right? Kassadin even killed Teemo. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. Kassadin even killed Teemo, right? So Teemo made even a mistake. Look. All of this is due to transition. This third is all going to be the transition. But never mind. Right now, we went from dead even to what? Like already 1k, 1.1k gold lead in a matter of like 2 minutes. Because I think I moved from 14 minutes here. Right? So in a matter of 2 minutes, we created out of nowhere a lead. By me always pushing out waves, I bait these people. Like, I know people like to do these cheeses and they like to like walk in here and get some vision, because if I always get prio, they have no vision. If you look at it from Nocturne's perspective, it doesn't look like he has too much vision around this. Dragon is about to spawn, nothing. Now, why doesn't he have any vision? Because the enemy Varus, me in this case, is constantly pushing in waves. So they can never walk into the jungle. They always have to collect minions here while we are setting up vision and clearing enemy vision. Right. Nocturne is the one to face check. We are obviously in a very big number advantage, so we can look to kill him. He needs to flash. He's forced to do that. Right. Again, I go mid lane, get the prio, push in the wave. Jhin is here to collect the wave. I occupy him. As a result, since I already pushed out the wave here, I can move to Dragon. We can do Dragon first while he's still occupied with this. So what are we going to do? We're going to get the Dragon. Here, if I speed it up, we get the Dragon. It's as easy as that. So yeah, that's for my part everything I want to say. Don't have any questions anymore, I hear, right?
Nope, no questions. And thank you for going way over the original time. There was definitely a lot of questions that got answered, and this was very in-depth.
All right, no problem. It was my very pleasure.